Right, really sorry about that. Not quite straightforward as I thought. So yeah, today we're just going to go over 3 tools that you may or may not be familiar with. Apologies if you are already familiar with it, but I'm sure plenty of you that aren't. I wasn't aware of some of these tools till a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully sort of make it easier to produce drawings quicker, to show the kind of information that we're starting to show on our sort of different levels of details. As I said, there's no sort of template. Don't feel like you need to follow it along. If you just want to kind of watch is more of a show and tell, and that's also fine. But yeah, you may want to kind of have a quick play around. So the first one we're going to look at is the HVAC ducting tool. This is really useful for drawing downpipes on the exterior buildings. Gives you a bit more control than just using an extrusion. You can do bends and things like that. It might also be really useful if you've got quite a complicated service arrangement. You might want to model some of the ducting. I kind of wish we'd done that on Connaught. It would have saved a lot of headaches further down the line. So this is located with a little pipe symbol, bottom right-hand corner. Okay, and then you've got different tools here, and you've got some horizontal ducts, which I think are these ones, HVAC straight and HVAC elbow. But what we want to use for like a downpipe would be the vertical duct tool. If you double click on that, you'll get the settings, okay? And you can select different options. So I'm going to choose a round sort of downpipe. I'll set a diameter at something a bit more reasonable. So I'll set it to a 75mm pipe. And I'm going to set the length of it to be my story height, which I'm going to assume is 3 meters at this stage. You want to make sure show 3D detail is ticked so that it shows up in 3D, and everything else you can leave unticked. So if I click that and I place it, oh, where's that stayed as a axis, isn't it? So you can see here I've now got a duct, and if I look at it in 3D, it's got there. So pretty basic. Pretty simple. The next thing you could do is you could add a bend to that. So if we go back into the plan view, we'll just drop a symbol in there, and we need to turn this to, sorry, so that's the HVAC vertical junction, I think it's called. Vertical elbow. We'll need to do a round turn down to get this to show up at the top. And then again, we want to set the width to the 75. Sorry. They're not in the right classes. That's a good point, Lizzo, but we can change them to that very quickly. So we will find the I think sort of system, probably, won't it? So I think in this template, we probably don't have the right class available. No. But if we were starting from the other template, then yeah, we would do that. Probably set the inner radius. Yeah. Big square on the bottom. Let's have a look. Oh, I think you've always put in 2 different downpipes. You've put a rectangular one and a round one. So you can just delete the bottom section. I think when you click the tool, it just like drops one in. And then, sorry, so if we go inner radius, this sets the radius of the duct. I don't know what's normal for a downpipe, but if we say 125, and we make sure that we show joints and show 3D detail. If we look at it in 3D, it's down here, and we probably want to move that to on top of the this one, and then we need to change the height to be 3 meters, and I think it's plus the inner radius of your pipe, and then we get a nice kind of outlet. funky rainwater system. You may not design it quite like this, but gives you an idea that you can start to add junctions in a bit more detail. So yeah, has anyone got any questions about that? That was pretty simple. That's the point. Okay, cool. Next tool. So the next tool is quite useful for site planning, and it's in the little landscape symbols, the little trees in the corner. It's the parking spaces tool, which I'm sure quite a lot of you are familiar with, but I think there's a few people out there not used it too much before. So this lets us draw different parking arrangements, and rather than drawing them with 2D lines, it would make it, we can add much more detail very quickly. So assume that I've put it onto the correct class. That's not really the purpose of this one. So I can quite quickly set the number of standard spaces. I can set the space width, which I think would be a more reasonable kind of 2.4 by 5.4 meters. We can change the angle, so we could have them at a 45-degree angle if we wanted to. I'm going to keep them straight for now. We can add disabled spaces, so if we just add one, it'll add it onto the end of it very quickly. You can set the width of the accessible space, and you can set the position of it, so whether it's the start of the run or the end of the run. You can also show a symbol so that someone can easily tell that that's the disabled space, and you can choose which side the aisle's on. So there's lots of flexibility there. And the other great thing is you can add space numbering. So you can now see that this is numbered 1 to 6, isn't it? 1 to 7. And we can even say if we've already put a row in, we could start this at say 7, and the numbers would jump up. So if you've got a larger car park than just a straight line. You can also, is it header style? No. Space style, you can also do double bays. So you can get those same 6 parking spaces arranged around sort of back-to-back arrangement. You can also do parallel parking bays. So loads of flexibility there. And you can see it's much quicker than if we had to draw that all out by hand using 2D lines and putting the numbers in. So that should hopefully be quite quick. You can also, I think, if show 3D stripes is turned on, you can also see it in 3D, so it'll come up on your site plans if you're looking at that, or your site model. So, cool. Does anyone got any questions about that one?
If there is offset, let's say to allow for columns in between, if it's under.
Okay.
So should we? Well, would you then create like separate bays?
You would have to create separate bays there. So I was looking at a project just before this tutorial just to check that I'd got everything. We had columns in the downstairs area, so I think we did it as a single bay. I think we did 3 no accessible ones, and then say there's a column, we would then drag a copy, allow for some columns in there, and we could then start the numbering at, let's say, 4, and this one would start at 1, and then you could carry that on. Cool. Any other questions? Okay, great. So the last tool, we're going to just look at the column tool, which we have covered before, but I thought it'd be useful to just give everyone a bit of a refresher. What we'll do is we're going to just create some stories for this. So I need to edit the ground floor, and we need to just check that's all correct. So we've got ground floor story. We've got a story level of finished floor. That's all right. And then if we go new story, call this 01 first floor. And then if I edit this, just make sure that's on our first floor story, and we've set up finished floor as our story level type. And then if we go to the little house icon down here, we've got the column tool, and I can just place that onto the floor, and it gives me a ton of options. So what we can do is we can just show architectural structure, we can just show the structure, or we can show both. So this means we can show, say, a steel column, and we can put some boxing out around it automatically. So we'll just click that. We can then set it to snap to the stories. So, and what's really good about this, if I just click OK here a sec, is, if we look at it in 3D, we can see here that this top section, that's my structural component, and this bottom section with the nice kind of detailing around it, that's my architectural section. So they can be snapped to different bits of your building. You can snap one of them to the structural slab, and one of them could be snapped to the ceiling level so that it doesn't show up above that. So we just go down and we will change. So we're going to change the top boundary of this to finish. The bottom boundary of my architecture to finished floor, and the top boundary we will do finished floor, and we will offset it. So we'll go to architectural height, and we'll go minus 450 for our slab and for our ceiling build-up. Okay, and then our structural height, we'll set that to finished floor, and we will go, 3,000, shouldn't it? And we'll minus 300 for our slab. We'll set this to our finished floor level below. The other thing that's quite useful is we can add tapers and things like that, which you can have a play around with. We can add capitals and bases. I'm not that into that sort of fiddly detail, so I'm going to get rid of those. And then we can also select structural types. So this is currently a concrete column. So in plan view, it looks pretty simple, but we can quickly change it to be a steel column. And we can select that's the wrong bit, sorry. We can select a structural shape, so we can select a off-the-shelf flange. So we go to a British standard column shape, and we can say, right, it's going to be a 305 or maybe a 254 column. And we can see very quickly that we've got a column with some boxing out around it, and that the top of that is sticking up to the slab level above. Quite a thick boxing out, so we just need to change that. I think that's the shaft width, so we can also play around with the shaft. Sorry. To make these rectangular, we can change the size of our boxing out quite easily. So. Right, can we turn it around? Right, a round column. Yes, you can. So we can go to shaft type, and we can change that to oval. And we can set that to 450 and 450. So you could have a round boxing out around a square column. And we could also do a tapered column, I think. So if we look at I think we can see that. Maybe not. So if we do the taper width. See there that the column sort of tapers out as it goes up. So lots of flexibility with that. That's all to do some interesting stuff. Have we got any questions? No? Cool. Sorry, it was quite a quick one, but just useful to run through some tools that you may or may not have used. And we'll have a slightly more in-depth one in 2 weeks' time when I think Kate will be doing camera match. So I hope everyone's really excited about that. Should be good. So. Cool. Thanks, guys. Cheers. drawings there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine.